Cool virtual set, Gary. Wow.
Yeah, we got the moves. Let's bring up the PowerPoint. Oh, there it is. Cool. Welcome to Video Guys Newsday Tuesday. Today's show is about PTZOptics PTZ cameras. PTZ cameras, what are they? Well, they allow you to pan, tilt, and zoom remotely. Think of it as a robotic camera, only that's gotten a lot more elaborate than it had in the past. You can control them with joysticks, you can control them with remotes that are pre-controlled, you can control them via the switchers that you use now. It's really an incredible thing that's happened with this marketplace over the last couple of years. And PTZOptics has been a great partner of Videoguys because they brought the cost of entry down. Before PTZOptics cameras were available through Videoguys, you were going to be paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a name brand like Panasonic, Sony type camera. And now PTZOptics is bringing those cameras down under $2,000 to start. They've got 12x, 20x, 30x cameras. We'll get into the pricing on that later, but we want to do more of an overview about the technology. So one of the things we like to talk about is what is the key advantage of a PTZ camera? What I have to tell you, the key advantage is that you don't need a human being to operate the camera. So if you're doing a 3-camera shoot for your corporate video, your church video, your educational video, maybe you have one live operator, 2 are on PTZ, and it's fantastic. You can have the cameras, they can be robotically controlled during the show via a joystick, kind of like what we have here by the operator, or you can use a series of presets. And that's basically how we do our show. We have preset setups. Like right now, we have a camera over here that I'm going to talk into. It's a PTZ camera on me. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to the other camera, and then when that camera comes back, it's going to be looking at the stuff that's down here on the table. And now look at that. My show now looks a lot more elaborate. It looks like I've got multiple cameramen. It's kind of an illusion, but I've got a great way to produce this show to show a lot of stuff. Let's cut back to the main camera. There we go. The PTZ cameras connect in several different ways. They can connect via HDMI, via USB, via SDI, or what my favorite is now they can connect via NDI, and that's NewTek's NDI technology, which is a single 1 gig power over Ethernet cable giving you power, giving you video from the PTZ camera to the switcher, as well as allowing the switcher to get control and to do tally lights and stuff like that. So super duper exciting, and that's what we're going to talk about on this show. NDI Workflow, that's what I just got in. I jumped a little ahead with what I was talking about. Should have studied the slideshow a little bit better. That's on me. But NDI, 1 cable, gives you power, lets the video go from the device to the presentation, and lets the presentation come back where you can control, not the presentation, the mixer, you can control the video from the mixer. So we have a TriCaster, and we can actually control the PTZ camera via NDI through the TriCaster if we want to. What are some of the live systems that NDI supports? Well, it supports the TriCaster, of course, but it also supports vMix, Wirecast, XSplit, StreamStar, Livestream Studio, OBS. It's a phenomenal technology that there's hundreds of NDI partners in there going right now. So you know what I want to do? Let's bring up Paul from PTZOptics now, and let's introduce him. Paul, how are you, buddy? I don't hear him.
Really happy with your show.
Awesome.
Looks really cool, so professional. Love that virtual set.
Let's bring up the lower third. All right.
Super excited to be back from InfoComm. Have some really great information from a lot of our partners that came through and made some announcements. And I can talk about the show, the customers there, and what we were demonstrating.
The first thing I want you to talk about, if you could, is talk about your cameras. I'm going to bring up a slide that's the first one over my shoulder, but you can see it's the USB. I'm going to go over the pricing quickly, then we're going to bring Paul. You know what? No. Paul, I want to see Paul. Paul's the guest. We got the star. We got him here. Tell us about your camera line, and tell us about what the new cameras are that have most recently been introduced.
So just starting in NAB this year, just a couple months ago, we released our NDI camera models and our 30X camera models. So those are available in gray and white. So it's actually quite a lot of camera models if you think about it, because we've added basically 8 camera models, because we have now a NDI version of a 12X and in gray and white. That's 2. We've got an NDI version of the 20X in gray and white. That's 4. An NDI version of the 30X in gray and white. That's 6. And then we have the regular 30X cameras. This is available in SDI. And these cameras are just feature packed with everything that the customers have been asking for, including power over Ethernet, 3G SDI, that's 1080p up to 60 frames a second, HDMI, and we've done a lot of work on the IP interface, which is what's keeping us ahead of the market and really leading the way with our integrations with Wirecast and NewTek and many others.
Very, very cool. So I want to go into the pricing on the different models now. You have the USB 3 HDMI PTZ cameras available for 12X for $16.99 or 20X for $17.99. Then we have the SDI PTZ cameras starting at $15.99 for the 12X, $16.99 for the 20X, and $17.99 for the 30X. And then we have the NDI cameras we talked about, where we have the 12X NDI cameras starting under $2,000, and that's tremendous, for $19.99. We also have the 20X for $20.99, and we have the 30X for $21.99. So I wanted to get that pricing out there for all our Videoguys customers so they can understand what they're looking at. And you know what? Before we get to PTZ camera control, let's bring back Paul. Paul, we're going to talk. You guys have a couple of controllers, and there's different ways to control the devices. But let's talk about these 2 controllers first that you guys have. We have the Huddle Cam basic one, and then we have the big kahuna from you guys, the PTZOptics one. Tell us a little bit about those, what the differences are, what the pricing is, and who should get which.
Sure. So this model that I'm holding here, this is the Huddle Cam RS232 joystick. This is a serial control joystick. And so this is actually sold all over for Sony cameras, Huddle Cam cameras, PTZOptics cameras. It works off of Sony Visca. So it can use RS232 or RS422, and it can do essentially Visca or Pelco P or Pelco D. So this has been completely redesigned, and you can see on the right-hand side what we've done is we've had quick camera switching buttons, camera 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we've also done that for our Generation 2 IP joystick. So that was the main thing that customers wanted. If you are connecting over RS232, we built in a special secret preset for you guys to open up the on-screen display menu, which is preset 95. And the point of these is that you could have 10, 20 cameras out in a stadium, or just 2 or 3 cameras in your church. And this allows a very simple, intuitive way to control the cameras. It's only $2.99, and it has very responsive, easy setup control.
Right. Now, I just want to give one little caveat, and that is we love these controllers. They work with almost every camera out there in the world, but they're not yet working with the NewTek PTZ1 NDI camera. We'll try to hope that comes in the future, but if you have that camera, you have to control that via the TriCaster. So now let's talk about the bigger unit, the IP series, a little bit. Do you have one of those to pick up also for us, or should I have it be on our camera?
Why don't you put it on your camera and I'll do an overlay, because I think it's the one I have is with the with our Infocom booth. But this actually has the exact same key layout. I mean, there's a few minor changes. So the great part is that, again, it's almost the same as this one, 4 quick camera hot swaps. So you got 4 cameras. The difference is that it's all over IP. So you can plug the camera in, or the joystick in, and it connects via DHCP. And what that means is as soon as you plug in the camera, or the joystick, sorry, it's actually, the joystick itself is power over Ethernet. So you can run one Ethernet cable to it. As soon as you turn it on, it gets an IP address, and that is via DHCP, and you can literally log into the joystick and load up as many IP cameras as you'd like on your network. Again, you can also control the cameras totally remotely, and this way, with the IP joystick, you don't have to connect all the cameras locally like you do with a serial joystick. So these cameras can be all over your facility, deployed with single cable simplicity.
Awesome. Yeah, we really love them, and I want to go through the pricing for folks too. So let's bring up the slide thing. So PTZ camera control, I think Paul went into all the advantages of it, so we don't have to read that slide again. But one of the cool things about it is it does let your producer or your mixer operator act as your camera operator as well. All right, we have the base one, which Paul told us about the price, the HC Joy, that's $299. And then we have the PT Joy Gen 2, the IP series, that's $649. These are great products. They're in stock. We can get them out to you available. And if you're looking to get a bunch of cameras and the controller and a TriCaster, whatever you're looking for, remember you can always call Videoguys, 800-323-2325. We've got people here, live people who can pick up the phone, talk to you about the products. Eddie's on the board, Christine's on the board. They're working the show right now. They know these products. You can give them a call, and they can not only explain to you to put the best workflow solution that meets your needs, but they can also meet your budget. Whenever we're putting together a lot of products, we can always sharpen our pencil a little bit and find some areas we can perhaps give you some additional savings. So that's really fun and really cool. All right, integrated camera control. Integrated camera control is something that goes beyond the remote control you're seeing, you know, with a remote controller with a joystick camera. This is where the control of the PTZ camera is either integrated into the mixer software, kind of like Wirecast or the TriCaster, or it can be integrated into other products and apps that go beyond the mixer that you're using. And we're going to show you some really cool stuff coming up. So I want to have Paul go through it, but Paul, we're going to keep you kind of on the screen and off the screen at the same time because I want to lead where we're going on this. And I want to start with a video. I want that later. Let's start talking about the NewTek TriCaster and how that could be controlled.
Such a great job with their PTZ camera integration. In fact, you can connect to the PTZOptics cameras technically 3 different ways. So you can use the traditional RS-232 to DB9 and plug into your TriCaster via USB. That's the way it had been done for a long time. And then NewTek actually integrated for the IP control of PTZOptics cameras as well. Finally, you can actually connect directly over NDI as well if you have an NDI integrated camera, as you can see this one here with the NDI logo. So those are your 3 options, and the way the TriCaster does it is very similar actually to the Wirecast gear now. It's becoming very popular to take a picture, a snapshot from the camera at the preset, move the camera, take another snapshot, so you end up with 5 or 6 different pictures of where your camera can possibly go, and it really simplifies pan, tilt, zoom control. All you have to do is click where you want the camera to go.
Awesome, that's really cool. And now let's talk about another integration that's come up, which we're really excited about, and that is Wirecast 9. We jumped the gun talking about the Wirecast integration a little bit in one of our webinars earlier in the year, but it is now in Wirecast 9. It's built in, it works great, and Paul, tell us about how Wirecast 9 and PTZOptics work together, because I believe you're the only cameras integrated at this point. Is that right, my friend?
That's right. You know, we always try to work very hard with our integrators and our partners to build in pan, tilt, zoom control. And Wirecast really appreciated our brand new API and TCP and UDP commands. You know, it's something that I mentioned, we've been putting so much work and development into one place, and that is the Ethernet port. It not only does it allow people to control the cameras with iOS remotes and Android remotes and all these things, but integrated directly into your favorite software. So Wirecast has done a great job. They not only integrated with the NewTek NDI, allowing you to bring the cameras in directly over the network, but they also integrate directly with the PTZOptics camera control protocol, which is just an IP address. All you need is the camera IP address, you plug it into Wirecast, and you let Wirecast know the input to associate the camera with, and then it works very similar to the NewTek TriCaster, maybe vMix if you've seen that. It takes little pictures of the presets, and you just click them, and the camera goes directly to where you want it to.
Cool. And one of the things that I want to talk about, Paul, if we could bring Paul up in the screen with me, because we're going to go back and forth on this a little bit, is Wirecast is really the only choice for Mac guys. If you're a Mac guy who wants to do, well, not true. We also have the Sling stuff, but that's a different show, and we've done that before. But for people who want to do just their own streaming on their MacBook Pro or an iMac, whatever it is Wirecast is a great solution. But one of the problems that you've had is the Mac is taking all the ports away, Apple has, so how do you get these good cameras into it? Well, NDI saves that problem now, because now you can have a MacBook Pro, you can have an iMac, and you can bring all your PTZ cameras in via NDI, and that's really exciting. And Paul, we were talking about at the show, but we're going to do some bundles with Wirecast and PTZOptics Cameras. So we don't have any of that together, but Paul, I want your feedback on what you're thinking about, that opportunity for Mac-based streamers out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right, Gary. Unfortunately, with a lot of the later Mac products, they've taken away a lot of the ports. You can't put in PCIe cards like you can in a custom computer, but the Mac users want to stick with the software that really works for them in their video editing workflow. So adding Wirecast's ability to stream and record live video content is really popular. Wirecast is probably the most popular Mac-based live streaming software outside of OBS, which is a free one. And the ability to bring in cameras has been an issue. You have a limited amount of USB ports. Like I said, no ability to do PCIe cards. So using your Ethernet port, which Mac always has a beefy Ethernet port, always has a beefy processor in there. Everything you need to take advantage of the new tech NDI to bring in multiple cameras. And if you have a multicast enabled network, you can really take advantage of a lot of different options with the NDI now at 3.5.
Very cool. And you guys have some device control for your PTZ cameras that's neither computer operated. You've actually jumped on the iOS and the Android bandwagon. You talked about that a little bit. So you're telling me that people are using their iPads or they're using an Android tablet and they're controlling their whole PTZOptics mix with that?
That's true, and we're actually working on some very interesting things. I saw the video that you might be showing. Here is the iOS app there. So that's right on my phone. It can control 8 cameras. I can do pan, tilt, zoom. It's very, very intuitive. 8 cameras up at the top, pan, tilt, zoom, as a zoom controller. So you can imagine in your hands, just very simple. You could have an iPad. Also available for Android. And Android, if you may know, Amazon has $50 touchscreen tablets now available that allow you to control the cameras. And then finally, speaking of Mac, we just released our very first pan, tilt, zoom app for both PC and Mac and OBS, Open Broadcaster Software. And so it gives Mac users a lot of options for advanced camera control.
That's very cool. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to preface this by saying this is not something that Paul's done. It's something that one of Paul's customers have done. And he's actually taken integration to a whole nother level. If we're talking about these devices being 9 or 10, and let's say this is a 9, and what we're doing with, integrating NDI as a 10, this guy's taking it beyond 11. He's probably taking it to 15. So I want to get what he's done is he's with an app integrated MIDI control with the PTZ camera. So I want to roll a little clip we have. When we come back from that clip, me and you will talk a little bit more about that.
You got it.
Got control of the lights, the Pro Presenter, obviously. Like there, I just kind of put a welcome scene on. Those screens there are also Pro Presenter, the 2 welcomes there. And then that's the Lyrics Pro Presenter. Controlling chord charts on the iPads on the stage. I'm controlling the cameras now with the new PTZ MIDI Controller app. The Blackmagic ATEM Production Studio 4K switcher I'm also controlling. And I've got TouchOS-C synced up to Ableton, which is on my laptop, and that's what's doing all the heavy lifting. So I can program it in advance and do that.
Well, that's just incredible. And they've done it with Ableton, but you've taken it and you're building a MIDI driver, which means you'd be able to use it with any MIDI-based digital audio workstation software like Avid Pro Tools, which is just incredible. So talk a little bit about how this has inspired you and where you see this taking us over the next 3-6 months to a year with NDI, PTZ, and just incredible levels of automation.
The Keys Vineyard Church actually is very interested in upgrading his existing 4 cameras to NDI because that's really the last piece. He's got everything else figured out. And I think a lot of churches, especially, they build audio first. They have their audio mixing board, they have their digital audio workstation, maybe it's Avid Pro Tools. You notice that he had the iPads for the guitar players and the bass players to read the chord charts. They've got Pro Presenter, maybe they have Easy Worship for their projectors, and that's really incredibly important for the in-room experience. And that's what most churches start with, so that the elderly can see on the large screens and the musicians can play along with the with the worship service that's going on. And that's the first thing I think churches usually do. And cameras and streaming come on top of that, secondary to the audio. I mean, it's almost 90% of the time. So what we decided to do is, let's see if we can get PTZ camera control integrated into that audio workflow, so that when they need to have a camera operator, they can build it directly into the songs that they're playing, and whether it's Ableton or Pro Tools or Reaper or Cubase, all of these different digital audio workstations. And that app is in beta, but it's available right now at ptzoptics.com/MIDI. And we just finished up the documentation on it. It's really, really simple to use. It can control up to 10 cameras with 12 presets each, and it's perfect for churches.
Mind blown. Very, very cool stuff. You know, Pro Presenter is what all the churches use all the time. And that is incredible levels of integration. Very excited what you guys are doing. You know, you're really ahead of the curve compared to a lot of other companies who are trying to catch up to this whole NDI or catching up with the custom integration. I don't think folks realize that, you know, PTZOptics, you've got programmers on hand, guys who are, you're hearing about suggestions from your own webinars or feedback from show floors. People are saying, hey, I wish I had this feature. And you know what? 2, 3, 6 months later, you guys are delivering it in an app or an add-on to the camera. And I got to compliment you guys, because I don't know another company that we deal with who is so plugged in on such a user customer level as you guys are. You really talk to your customers constantly. You know what's going on, and you're constantly innovating. And while firmware and hardware could take years to develop, on the software side, you just keep moving ahead of the curve. And I just love it. Not only are you guys a price performance leader, but you're also a technology leader. And that's a real special combination. So kudos to you guys at PTZOptics for that.
Thank you, Gary.
Cool. I want to thank Paul for being on the show. That's it. We're going to go into our wrap up now. I want to tell you about what we have on coming up on the next few shows. We're going to do a show. We have plans on the June 19th show to do a Ask the Video Guys show, where we're taking some of the questions we've gotten from some of our feedback from Facebook, from shows, from other areas, what people have said to us. We're also going to have a June 26th show on new products. There's a lot of new products and features coming up. We may flip those two around, because over the last 2 or 3 days, we've gotten heads up that there's a bunch of promos that are going to break on this Friday or this Monday. So I have a feeling we're going to flip-flop the 19th and the 26th. And then July 3rd, it's going to be a Best of Video Guys collection, because we got the 4th of July holiday. I know everyone's going to be in holiday mode, so we're just going to run some little best of clips for you. And it looks like, I don't know if my screen went dead for you guys, but it went dead for me. So I want to thank everyone. I see we had some guys who watched the show, and that's very appreciated. Guys, this is Gary from Videoguys.com. Tune in Tuesdays, NewsDay Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to tell you about the products that we sell. Give us a call on 800-323-2325, and you can talk to live people who can talk to you all about the ins and outs of video editing, video streaming, video production, video storage. That's what we're here. We're here to help you and work with you. This is Gary from Video Guys. Peace.
Videoguys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.